In 2025, SpaceX received FAA approval to increase its annual Starship launches from 5 to 25 at its Starbase facility in South Texas. This significant increase aims to accelerate the company's ambitious plans for space exploration and commercial spaceflight. The FAA's decision followed an environmental assessment, concluding that the increased launch frequency would not significantly impact the surrounding environment. However, the approval comes with conditions, including measures to protect local wildlife and mitigate environmental impacts. SpaceX is required to conduct post-launch environmental surveys and collaborate with organizations like Sea Turtle Inc. to protect endangered species. The company must also contribute annually to local conservation efforts, such as a $5,000 payment to the Gladys Porter Zoo's Animal Health Department. Despite these measures, environmental groups express concerns about the potential impact on the region's unique ecosystems. Critics argue that the increased launch frequency could disrupt habitats of vulnerable species, including shorebirds and sea turtles. The FAA's assessment has been challenged by some who believe it lacked sufficient environmental scrutiny and community engagement. The Carrizo Comecrudo tribal nation claims it was not consulted, prompting calls for a new environmental impact statement. SpaceX's increased launch cadence also raises concerns about airspace safety and potential disruptions to commercial aviation. Previous launches have caused airspace closures, affecting flights and prompting the FAA to expand hazard zones for air and maritime traffic. The company's ambitious plans include reusing Super Heavy boosters, adding complexity to safety assessments, and launching operations. SpaceX's test flights have drawn global attention, but also highlighted the unpredictable nature of rapid aerospace development. Multiple test failures have resulted in fiery explosions, drawing concern over public and environmental safety near launch sites. Starbase itself is located in an ecologically sensitive area, bordered by wildlife refuges and coastal wetlands. Residents have voiced mixed reactions. Some support economic development, while others worry about long-term environmental degradation. The company's presence has undeniably boosted local employment and tourism, bringing engineers, media, and curious visitors to the region. Yet with greater visibility comes greater scrutiny, especially as SpaceX moves beyond test flights toward full-scale commercial launches. Each successful launch brings us closer to interplanetary exploration, but each misstep adds weight to public skepticism. For Elon Musk, speed is everything. Delays threaten both timelines and investor confidence in achieving Mars colonization goals. This urgency sometimes clashes with the slower pace of environmental review and bureaucratic oversight from regulatory bodies. NASA, a major SpaceX partner, has also had to adapt to this rapid-fire launch strategy for joint missions like Artemis. NASA's future lunar plans partly rely on Starship, raising the stakes of each SpaceX success or failure. With 25 launches annually, SpaceX now has the most aggressive launch schedule in private aerospace history. The volume of missions increases the risk of cumulative environmental and safety impacts that are difficult to predict long-term. Launch vehicles emit carbon and soot into the upper atmosphere, which may affect atmospheric chemistry and ozone levels. Some scientists are raising red flags, warning that unchecked emissions from rockets could accelerate climate change. Re-entry events also generate heat and debris, some of which fall into the Gulf of Mexico, raising pollution concerns. There's also the issue of orbital debris, as more launches mean more spent components and potential space junk. Efforts like Starlink, which require thousands of satellites, further complicate concerns about orbital congestion and collisions. Regulations around space traffic management and deorbit plans are still evolving, often lagging behind technological progress. Meanwhile, SpaceX continues to break records. Its reusable rockets have revolutionized space logistics and drastically cut launch costs. This economic advantage gives the company a head start, leaving competitors struggling to match pace or innovation. Blue Origin, Boeing, and international agencies are watching closely as SpaceX reshapes the global space race. Yet innovation without restraint can lead to unintended consequences, especially when ecosystems and communities lie in the blast zone. Environmental activists and tribal leaders are pushing for more inclusive dialogue, urging SpaceX to consult all stakeholders. Some are calling for independent oversight, separate from federal agencies with financial ties to commercial launch programs. The FAA insists that its review process is robust, but others argue it's ill-equipped to manage this scale of private launch activity. Critics want stricter caps on annual launches and mandatory third-party environmental assessments before approval. SpaceX supporters argue that the benefits, technological leadership, scientific discovery, and job creation far outweigh the risks. They say humanity must push forward and calculated risks are part of any great leap. Indeed, Starship could enable space-based solar power, asteroid mining, or planetary defense strategies in the near future. But these visions remain speculative, while the environmental costs of current activities are very real and measurable. Some experts believe a balance can be struck by integrating better mitigation strategies and transparent public reporting. Others advocate for stronger international cooperation, fearing that national dominance could trigger geopolitical tensions in space. The US government has a vested interest in supporting SpaceX, viewing its success as a national security asset. The Pentagon has awarded SpaceX contracts for satellite deployment, further blurring lines between private ambition and government objectives. If SpaceX becomes indispensable for US space policy, it could gain unprecedented influence over future exploration priorities. That concentration of power in one company is worrying to those who support a more democratized, multilateral approach to space. Ultimately, the question is not whether we should go to space, but how we should get there and at what cost. As Starship's launch rate climbs, so too does the pressure to ensure accountability, safety, and environmental responsibility. The world is watching to see whether SpaceX's path becomes a blueprint for the future or a cautionary tale. For now, the skies above South Texas will rumble more often as rockets rise and debates rage on Earth.